But this is the story that has me fired up tonight. The numbers don't lie. Corporate America has a rope around the neck of the middle class in this country, and they're tightening the noose on really any fast hope of economic recovery. The numbers are going to be pretty much the same for a while. The Federal Reserve is projecting high unemployment through 2011 and up to the next election. So this is what we have to look forward to. This is on the heels, my friends, of corporate America having its best quarter ever. The Fed predicts 9% unemployment at the end of next year and about 8% in late 2012. I think that's lofty myself. Now, the Republican Party, of course, will use these numbers to make President Obama a one-term president. That, of course, is the mission. In the meantime, the corporate sector, well, their profits shot up a record 28% in the third quarter. At the same time, they only spent 7.6% more on employee compensation. Well, that means that big business is really sitting on the record profits instead of really investing in American workers. Where is that investment going? Here's what the headline ought to read, quote, corporate suits are cutting a fat hog on emerging markets, and those markets are overseas. The Washington Post reports one of the reasons for the record third quarter profits from U.S. firms is because they are doing business overseas, and those numbers have shot up. Now, it's completely un-American, in my opinion, for U.S.-based companies to turn their back on American workers, American wage earners, while they're doing things on the cheap overseas. Where's the economic patriotism in all of this? Boehner and McConnell? They don't give a damn. They're aiding and abetting the outsourcing of American jobs. They stand ominously silent, don't they? At the same time, they stand in the way of helping the 15 million Americans who are out of work, because we're only going to go so far in these extraordinary times when it comes to unemployment benefits. Democrats have a small window of opportunity to save people from losing all of their unemployment benefits when they get back to Washington next week. Now, whose side do you stand on? If they don't pass an extension by next Tuesday, 800,000 Americans will instantly get cut off. And it's going to get worse. And if they don't do it in December, 1.2 million people will be left out in the cold. More numbers, more in the line, more hardship. Well, Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey and 27 other Democratic senators sent a letter to Harry Reid demanding immediate action on the issue. But Senate Republicans, they're more worried about earmarks. You know, the big talk about earmarks last week. Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans, they swore off earmarks early last week. But wait a minute, the number 2 senator on the Republican side, what did he do? Well, he snuck some home state pork into a bill right before he skipped out of town. Yeah, we're talking about Arizona Senator John Kyle. You see, he landed $200 million to settle an Arizona Indian tribe's water rights claim against the government. It's a low-rent move, Senator, and you vote no time and time again about unemployment benefits. This ought to make America's blood boil. Republicans will do anything to help their buddies in their backyard and help the folks on Wall Street. And, of course, do all the home state projects, the pet projects that we hear so much about. But they basically are spitting on the unemployed every chance they get because they just cost too much money. The bottom line is the Republicans this Thanksgiving, and we'll sit at the table tomorrow and we'll probably give thanks, say a prayer. What are we going to be thankful for? Are we going to be thankful for the Republicans who have repeatedly voted against and blocked small business bills to employ people in this country? Are we going to celebrate the investment in foreign workers? Should we be thankful for that? Should we be thankful that at every turn and every time this president tries to do something right in national security, that the Republicans are there, Monday morning quarterbacking, just rip it into President Obama instead of being a team player to help protect the country? That's all on his shoulders, of course, now. He's a Democrat. You know, this is the same Congress that time and time again has never really shown any confidence in the American worker. They were against the auto loan. It's not a bailout, but they've convinced Americans that it was a bailout, some kind of freebie. Where have you seen reported that the United States government is going to be making money on this loan since we saved the American automobile industry. Just think if we hadn't have done that, just think about how many car dealerships in this country would have just fallen by the wayside, and there would have been a ripple effect through the economy. Now, that's something we can be thankful for, but we can't be thankful for the Republicans because they hated every inch of it. They hated it. They didn't want anything to do with it. It was government motors. It was Obama motors. We can't do that. Should we point out at the dinner table that it's been the liberals. It's been the liberals all along in this country that have stood up for American workers, that have presented bills to the Congress to fight back outsourcing, that have presented bills in Congress that would actually give incentives to American companies to bring jobs back to America. Who's been in the way? The Republicans. We have a lot as a country to be thankful for, but I don't think we can be thankful for the attitude of the Republicans, the way they want to show us in this country. I don't think we can be thankful for their obstinance when it comes to trying to get things moving forward in America. Instead of debating their side, all they want to do is tear down everything that the American people want. It's almost as if we didn't have an election in 2008. So this is, I think, as we move forward after Thanksgiving, a real gut check time for the Democrats. The Democrats still have a lot of power, although if you watch a lot of shows these days, you would think they didn't have any power at all. The Democrats, what they need is the heart and the soul and the belief that what they believe in is the right thing for America. They can't have a shaky stomach right now. They have to get that heart and that soul and know in their heart that they are willing to do things for Americans and not give up. I'll be thankful tomorrow at the dinner table for one party and one movement that has consistently stood up for the American worker, that has consistently called out the Republicans when they were wrong, working against the American worker. We have a lot to be thankful for. In my house, it's the liberals, and I'm damn proud of that. Get your cell phones out, folks. I want to know what you think. Tonight's text survey question is, do you think long-term unemployment will make President Obama a one-term president? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. I'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now is Virginia Congressman Jim Moran. Congressman, good to have you with us tonight. And I'm thankful for you because you speak up. You say things for the American worker, and we have a lack of that in Washington. And that's part of the divide. We actually have people who think shipping jobs overseas is a much better policy for America. Congressman, the forecast that I put out there that the Fed is reporting of what we're going to look at for unemployment in 2011, 2012, what's your reaction to those numbers, sir?
You have every reason to be fired up, Ed. You know, today's headlines are just stunning. The highest corporate profit in recorded history. Now, of course, the people who own those corporations benefit the most from that corporate profit are those largely in the top 1%. They now have more wealth than the bottom 90% of Americans. And when you look at the fact that corporate profit went up almost 4 times as fast as wages, you realize what's happening. American workers' productivity is soaring, but their wages are not. In fact, to some extent, they've been declining. And when they're not making enough money so that they can't meet their mortgage, they can't make their car payments, they can't even put enough food on the table these days, that's what's stunning. That's what causes you to be fired up. You know, it was Franklin Roosevelt who recognized that the stability of our political system comes from the expansion of the middle class, but the strength of our economy comes from the working class. And it's the working class that's paying the price for this disparity of wealth and income in America that's as bad as it has been since the Great Depression. That's the problem in our economy. Now, those 1%, I want them to have a nice Thanksgiving. They certainly got a lot to be thankful for. Now, many of them are probably vacationing overseas. But the reality is, if they don't understand that until we put America's working class to work and pay them reasonably for their increased productivity, then this whole economy is going to drag everyone down. And so what you're fired up about is simply wanting America to be as strong as it should be.
Well, and that's what we all should be focusing on. I don't think that this country is focused on jobs. I don't. I know the Republicans aren't. All they want to do is complain about it. How can they sit there, Congressman, and say that they're for creating jobs, but they fight President Obama, they fight the Democrats in Congress tooth and nail every time a proposal comes on the table? How in the hell are we supposed to be thankful for that?
If you want to create jobs, you put money in the pockets of the American consumer so they can start buying more, they can feel more financially secure, they can send their kids to a good college education. The other thing you do, in addition to putting money in the pockets of consumers, is you invest in our human infrastructure. You put money into education, which is the foundation of a productive workforce. But they want to cut education, and then they are most focused on giving tax cuts to the people who need it the least, to that top 1% who already have 90% of America's wealth. So
the income disparity, the income disparity in this country is unbelievable. It's the worst since the Great Depression. And
well, it's un-American. It's not what America's about. It's eroding our strength. I don't know how we compete. Go ahead. Excuse me. You're getting me all fired up.
Well, I want to get you fired up. I don't know how else we're going to get anything accomplished in this country unless we make people realize what the heck is going on. Congressman, great to have you with us tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for always showing up here on the.
And I'll tell you,
I appreciate it.
Ed, I was just reading your book, Killer Politics. It says it all. This is what people ought to be reading. They, finish your turkey meal. You're going to want to sit back for a while. Buy this book, read it, and then you'll get it, and you realize what needs to be done in America, where we need to go, and what where our priorities ought to be. Have a great Thanksgiving, Ed. You deserve it.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate it. I didn't know you were going to show up the book, but thank you for reading it. I appreciate it very much. I think I do hit it out of the park on the key issues to save this country.